Today, we're stepping into an investigation that isn't just about dry data or policy, it's about human lives. It's about crushed dreams, and really the future of an entire nation. The foundation of any country is its education system. It's the absolute backbone. And look, over the last few decades, Bangladesh has undeniably made some incredible progress on paper. Literacy rates are up, we're seeing more kids attending school than ever before, and new universities are constantly opening their doors. But behind those rising numbers lies a deeply emotional, quiet crisis. So today, we're going to conduct an investigative analysis into a system that so many parents, teachers, and students fear is just fundamentally broken. We're looking at the harsh realities, the heartbreaking struggles, and yes, those crucial glimmers of hope.
Let's dive right in by framing our investigation around one central question. Where exactly is the problem? Is it the student or is it the system? We're always told, just study hard enough and you'll succeed. But what happens when an entire generation plays by the rules only to find out the game was kind of rigged from the start? We really need to look closely at whether students are just failing to grasp the material, or if the actual machinery of education itself is actively working against their potential.
Because there's this heartbreaking paradox at the center of it all. Think about it. A student dedicates 12 to 15 years of their life to relentless study. They sit at their desks, they literally memorize thousands of pages of textbooks, and they actually achieve top-tier grades. They do exactly what society asks of them. But then, they step out into the harsh reality of the job market, and bam, they hit a brick wall. Despite all those years of perfect grades, they're left struggling, desperately fighting just to secure a basic livelihood. How does this even happen?
To answer that, we really have to look under the hood. Section 1. The root causes, memorization and the pressure cooker.
The absolute biggest criticism from experts here is the crushing reliance on rote learning. Students spend hours upon hours just memorizing answers from a book to pass an exam. They are rarely given the time or the tools to actually understand the material, let alone figure out how to apply it in real life. They become masters of recalling information, sure, but they lose all confidence when faced with a real-world problem that doesn't have a neat textbook answer. And the daily reality? It's a relentless, exhausting loop. Step 1, school for hours. Step 2, rushing straight to a crowded coaching center. Step 3, sitting with private tutors. Step 4, staying up late into the night studying just to memorize enough for the very next day. Wake up, repeat, faster and faster. It's suffocating. Everything is just this mad dash for better marks. And because of this nonstop cycle, these kids are completely stripped of the time they desperately need for creativity, for sports, for hobbies, for actual personal growth. They aren't really living, They're just surviving the schedule.
And what is the ultimate prize for surviving that grueling schedule? Well, that brings us to Section 2, Certificates versus Real-World Skills.
There is a massive, tragic disconnect here. You can survive the pressure cooker, you can get the piece of paper, but that piece of paper just doesn't translate into the tools you actually need to survive in the modern workforce. The system demands pure memorization, high exam scores, and paper certificates. But employers, the modern world, they desperately need communication, critical thinking, the ability to work in a team, digital skills, and real, on-the-fly problem solving. So students graduate feeling completely unprepared, simply because the system never gave them a chance to develop those essential human skills. The transition from academic life to professional life ends up being incredibly jarring.
Now, we also have to acknowledge that this struggle is absolutely not a level playing field. It's just not. Urban schools are often equipped with modern classrooms, science labs, libraries, the whole shebang. Meanwhile, rural institutions, they often lack even the most basic facilities and technology. This structural inequality deeply fragments the quality of education. A student's potential is way too often dictated purely by their zip code. Creating this incredibly uneven landscape where equal opportunity is frankly just an illusion.
Let's just pause for a second. Take a breath, because behind these structural failures, there's a profound human cost. Section 3, the invisible mental toll.
There's a silent crisis happening right now behind closed doors. We really can't look at this system without looking at what it's doing to the minds and souls of the youth trapped inside it. We're talking about the crushing weight of family expectations, extreme cutthroat competition, severe exam anxiety. These students are buckling under the intense pressure of the SSC exams, the HSC exams, and those famously ruthless university admission tests. They are exhausted. They are incredibly anxious. The psychological burden of needing perfect results just to be seen as successful by society is literally breaking them. It's a vital, painful reminder that an education system shouldn't just care about test results, it absolutely must prioritize the mental well-being of the human beings sitting at those desks.
But listen, the story doesn't end in the dark. Section 4, Building a New Horizon. Despite all these systemic flaws, there is a rising, hopeful momentum. Positive changes are happening, and it's being driven by the sheer willpower of the students themselves. The youth are literally bypassing the broken parts of the system. They're turning to digital classrooms and online courses. They're out there teaching themselves freelancing, programming, graphic design, entrepreneurship. They are logging onto the internet and pulling down the modern, practical skills that their formal schools completely failed to provide. It's just a profound testament to their resilience. They're flat out refusing to be left behind, proving that the hunger for true learning is very much alive and well in Bangladesh. And the really good news here? We know how to fix the formal system too. Educators and experts have already laid out a clear roadmap. A true systemic overhaul requires a few key shifts. We must transition away from rote memorization and aggressively focus on deep comprehension. We have to actively encourage creativity and critical thinking. We need to implement practical, hands-on education, modernize teacher training with the right tools, and crucially, as we talked about, prioritize student mental health. The solutions exist. The blueprint for a modern, holistic education system is sitting right here.
Which brings us to the ultimate takeaway of our entire investigation. The true purpose of education? It's preparing humans for real-world challenges, not just producing perfect exam results. The future of Bangladesh depends entirely on the students sitting in classrooms today, and their future depends entirely on the quality of education they receive. Now, no system in the world is perfect, but if we honestly identify the flaws, if we stop valuing paper certificates over actual capabilities, we can build a generation of strong, dynamic problem solvers.
So, I want to leave you with a final provocative thought based on all the evidence we've just unpacked. In your opinion, what is the single biggest problem with the Bangladesh education system today? Think about it, reflect on the reality, and let's keep this vital conversation going. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer.